What do you think? Why do you think kids use drugs at a young age? Feeling of acceptance, and why not?
I think kids that use drugs at a young age, I feel like they just use it just to be, like they want to fit in, I guess, and because everyone's doing it, I guess that's a big thing and stuff, and they just want to fit in.
I think a lot of it is peer pressure, and also like that people hear like, oh, this drug makes you feel so good, and then people want to try that because they're curious and they don't know.
I think kids use drugs at a young age because they're curious and probably because their parents use drugs.
I think kids use drugs at a young age because it's a thrill, and all their friends are doing it, and they see older people that do it, and you always look up to older people that do it, and so you want to be like them.
If the drug is not legal, does that mean it's good for you? No.
I don't think that the drugs that are not illegal are good for you because they all have a certain meaning. So I don't think that you should use them even though they're illegal. It's not meant for you.
I don't really think that necessarily makes it good for you because they legalize weed, and that doesn't really mean that I'd go there and do it because I don't really think it's good for you. So
I definitely don't think just because a drug isn't illegal, it's necessarily good for you. Take alcohol, for example. It definitely isn't something people do to stay healthy, and I think our laws are right, but just because something's legal doesn't mean it's good for you, or just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's bad for you.
Just because the drug isn't illegal doesn't mean it's not bad for you, because tobacco, that's legal at 18, but it's still bad for your lungs and it still has a bunch of long-term effects that aren't good for your body.
On a scale from 1 to 5, how bad do you think marijuana is? 5 being the worst. 2, I think that there's a whole bunch of physiological stuff that it's bad for the nervous system, but it's not going to give you anything.
Probably a 3, because it's not really good for you, but it's not a life-destroying thing or anything.
I don't think I can really rate this on a scale to 1 to 5 because it definitely depends how often you use marijuana. Definitely depends on the person and the amount of time of your lifetime. But if you were comparing it to cigarettes, I would say it's not as bad. Health-wise,
Again, I don't probably a 4 on a scale of 1 to 5 on how bad it is for your body. There can be side effects, but if you're prescribed it, it can be good for your body and helps people out that can focus. But people that aren't prescribed it shouldn't take it because it can have harmful side effects.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how bad do you think Adderall is for you?
Probably a 2.
Again, Adderall is probably a 4 on a scale of 1 to 5 on how bad it is for your body. There can be side effects, but if you're prescribed it, it can be good for your body and helps people out that can focus. But people that aren't prescribed it shouldn't take it because it can have harmful side effects.
What percentage of high school students do you think smoke marijuana? Maybe 17%?
Maybe 30 or 40, but you don't hear a whole ton about it.
74%.
On average, I would probably have to guess that about 50% of high school students smoke marijuana.
What more can schools do to prevent drugs?
I think just getting, definitely educating the masses as to, one, how addictive drugs can become, how dangerous and destructive they can be in your system. Certain drugs definitely take hold much more quickly than others. Some drugs you need to use more to gain the same effects.
At what age do you think children should start learning the dangerous effects?
Realistically, studies really show that around 7th to 8th grade, especially 8th grade, you get an increased use of drug. We kick in with our 6th graders But I think any time that, I think definitely probably middle school is a good time for parents to sit down with their kids and talk about the risk and the dangers of chemical use.
What are the important steps into coming out of our drug addiction?
Well, I think the first step is you've got to recognize that you have a problem, and you've got to admit that you need help. The other thing is, I think you have to look at, over time you build up greater tolerance, and then also over time you just, you can't get by without having it. I think those are all indications that you have a problem. And then through that, you're going to need a lot of help. You're going to need a lot of counseling, and you're going to get into programs that have chemical assistance for you.
How much of an impact do you think media has on you?
Well, I think media, you really look at today, we have a couple of things going on. One is obviously with alcohol, energy drinks, all those types of things that people look at it as though it's embedded into our society. If you're into sports, it kind of goes hand in hand with it. If you look at the ads and what type of ads take place during football games or sporting events and those sort of things, normally, beer and those sort of things go with it hand in hand. I think the other thing is with marijuana, we have, I think people get kind of confused because you have, based on to help your health, such as, you're going through, a patient going through chemo or whatever, there's an allowance to use it for medical purposes, and then you have states passing the fact that you can use marijuana legally. I think gets kids awfully confused as to, okay, this is bad or is it good?
I got a question. If you could tell kids one thing about drug use and substance abuse, even, what would you tell them?
Don't start. Just don't start. Don't do it. No matter what it is, it's going to over time take control of your life. So
Okay.
just don't get started.